Hey Recast family, today is the fourth day of Michigan's Stay Home and Stay Safe policy, and we are bringing to you our fourth question of the day from the 3rd John sermon. And today we're going to be looking at verses 11 and 12. If you remember, in the last few verses, John had told us about the character of a guy named Diotrephes, and then when we get to verse 11, really he kind of gives a summary statement of Diotrephes' character, and he says, don't be like that guy. He's not good. He is not doing godly things. Rather, imitate what is good. But why? Why should we imitate what is good? He goes on and he gives what I think is a key statement. He says, whoever does good is of God, but whoever does evil has not seen God. Now, you think about that line, that's pretty black and white. Whoever does good is of God, but whoever does evil has not seen God? How do we understand that? Is he talking about whether or not a person is a Christian or an unbeliever? I don't think so. And to understand that, I think we've got to go back to some of John's other epistles, primarily 1 John, because two of the phrases he uses here, of God and seen God, are statements that he uses in 1 John. And as I've dug into that passage letter really over the years, I have come to understand some of those black and white statements in 1 John, not as referring to the status of a person's salvation, but rather to an understanding of their fellowship with God. Are they in close fellowship with God? And I think that's what he's talking about here. You and I have the ability to have a more intimate relationship with Jesus Christ. And when we do that, when we have close fellowship with him, we will do what is good. When we don't, we will have a tendency to do what is evil because we are not seeing God clearly. And that idea of seeing is an interesting one, and I read something this week I want to read to you because I think it sheds light on that idea. The author said this: the lifestyle that we exhibit is a direct reflection to the extent to which we have seen God. If we were to see God perfectly, we would never sin. Our sin is a result of a faulty vision of God. Therefore, the scriptures encourage us to look at Christ. For the day when we see him perfectly will be the day we will be like him. When we dwell with Jesus, there will be no more sin. And I think about that idea, and I think about the idea of experiential fellowship, and I think there's really two ways in the New Testament that we are told can increase our experiential fellowship with God. And the first is really that idea of looking at Christ, beholding his glory, which will transform us from one stage of glory to another, as the Corinthian epistles tell us. And the second, in the 1 John epistle, we're told that we can have increase in fellowship with God. We abide with him more when we serve others. And so during this unique time of isolation, I think there's an opportunity for us to open the scriptures, to look at Christ, to abide in him, to get to know him better. And so with that in mind, today's question is very simple. What could you do during this time of isolation to either look at Christ more or more fully, or to serve others? And in both cases, increasing your fellowship with God, and thereby becoming a person who is worthy of imitating, like Demetrius in our text today. I really hope that you get some time to spend in the Word this week. I'm reminded from the book of Colossians that when we let the Word dwell in us richly, we are filled with the Spirit. And for me, that's an encouragement and a motivation to open the Word during this time of isolation, and I hope it is for you as well. God bless you all.